Hi everyone, welcome back to Drawing Fundamentals. I hope you've been enjoying the videos so far and been learning something new. And if you haven't been learning something new, then hopefully they've been reminding you of some things that you may have forgotten. So if you haven't watched those videos, jump back, just go watch them quickly. They're very short videos, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time. And who knows, you might learn something new. So drawing fundamentals, we looked at the last video, number 3, which was on making shapes. So this is number 4, and what we'll be looking at now is something simple called cast shadows and form shadows, and just what they are and how to tell the difference between a cast shadow and a form shadow. Now, because this is all about drawing, the only other thing that we might be looking at is tone for the moment. And the reason being is because we're not using color, we don't have to talk about chroma or hue or, stuff like specular highlights and things like that. All those really technical things. Transmission, things like that. Light transmission, diffused light, and so forth. We won't really need to know all that stuff for now, because we're talking about the basics, we're talking about the fundamentals of drawing, so we don't need to know that. What we need to know though is cast shadows and form shadows and what those are. So a cast shadow is a shadow that is cast by an object. So sorry about that, this thing keeps on going out of focus. It's a shadow that is cast by a form. So for an example, my hand here, this shadow on the paper is actually what we call a cast shadow. So if I was to draw the surface of a table, right, and then I drew a ball on it, and then I have a light source here somewhere, so I'll draw a light bulb here. So we have a light bulb here. Right? And this is the ball sitting on the table. The shadow that comes from that right there, this shadow is actually called a cast shadow. Okay? That's a cast shadow. So some things to keep in mind with a cast shadow: the closer the shadow is to the object, the sharper the edge is going to be. So this edge of the shadow is going to be really sharp because it's pretty close to the object. Okay, if you can see my hand, the further away my hand is, the blurrier the shadow is. The closer the shadow is to my hand, okay, I'll put it pretty close. Okay, right there, you can see there's a really sharp edge to it. Okay, so the same principle is with this. The cast shadow will be really sharp, closer to the object, and the edges will become a lot blurrier, and the shadow itself will become a little bit lighter. Though it does have a slight edge to it, it's not as hard as the edge closer to the object. Okay. So it'll just gradually fade, though it will show. There you go. So that's a cast shadow. Now, what is a form shadow? Well, a form shadow is basically the shadow that rolls along a form. And so the shadow that will be on the ball itself is called a form shadow. And the thing with the form shadow is, the further away the form shadow is from the light source, the darker it'll be. And the closer it is to the light source, the lighter it'll be. Okay. and it's very gradual. It's not like a harsh, sharp change from light to dark. It's actually a very gradual change, okay, until it gets to like a spot there. So this here is what we call form shadow. Now sometimes the form shadows might be a little abrupt, and that's only because of the surface plane itself. So if this ball was a cube, okay, we'll draw a small cube there. If this ball was a cube, the reason why the edge would be sharp is only because the object itself has a sharp edge. And so the form shadow would be sharp. So this would be light, and that would be a little bit darker because of the angle it's at. Then the cast shadow itself will, okay, so it's got dark and then it goes lighter, it fades, and the edge become a lot softer at the end of it, but closer it's pretty sharp. Okay, so that's the cast shadow there, and that's the form shadow there. So the cast shadow is cast by the object, is the shadow on a different surface, not on the same surface. It'll never reflect it on itself. It just doesn't happen. Like for an example, if I'm drawing a nose, right? Let's draw a nose. If I'm drawing a nose, the cast shadow won't be on the nose itself. So if this part of the nose is casting a shadow, you won't see that shadow on itself. It'll be on a different surface, like this. Okay, so let's darken that a bit. Hopefully you can see it properly. Okay, so the cast shadow of this nose will be somewhere here. So the light's coming from there. So when you're looking at drawings or photos or whatever, you'll see these cast shadows. So this is the cast shadow right there, and the form shadow would be that shadow that runs along the nose itself. So that's all. This here is all the form shadow. Okay, so that's form shadow. So hopefully you understand what a form shadow and a cast shadow is now, and the differences between them. So the closer the cast shadow is to the object, the sharper the edge is, the darker it is. The further away, the softer the edges are going to be, and the lighter the shadow is going to be. For the form shadow, the further it is away from the light, the darker it is. The closer it is to the light, the lighter it is. And that's basically what it is. And so this is one of the things that you're going to use to suggest depth, to suggest a 3D form on this 2D plane, which is a piece of paper. Okay, and this is a pretty important thing to learn. And you know what? Once you learn how to do it properly, and you learn how to create that illusion properly, you'll make things look a lot more 3D and a lot more lifelike. So hope you've been learning stuff. If you're enjoying these videos, just leave a comment in the comment section, and just let me know whether you enjoy it or not, or if there's other lessons that you'd like me to show, and I'll do that. Okay, so see you in the next video.